What's up, everyone? It's your girl Nita Flying High, and you're tuned in to another one. Now, we're doing a remake on this one. WNBA commissioner calls Caitlin Clark most popular athlete in America. Talks schedule expansion. Now, this was a headline that I seen, and I already knew it was red flags all over. And also, shout out to the WNBA. They finna tip off, and like I said, we gonna be we gonna look. Hey, let's go. So, shout out to the dub. I'm interested to seeing some of these fellow archetypes that y'all have here, and I hope that I'm able to see some sacred geometry basketball being played on the court. So, I'm looking forward to this season. Let's go. Let's talk about this headline. All right, let's unpack this. You know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark is the most popular athlete in America. It's not just hyperbole or media hype. It's a strategic signal sent out by the system. And it's detrimental in a lot of ways because folks don't realize it. Because a lot of ways, folks don't realize it. You know what I'm saying? It erases black excellence. To call Caitlin Clark the most popular athlete implies a level of cultural dominance that intentionally overshadows the existing black athletes who have long held those spots. We're talking about LeBron James, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Angel Reese, Ija Wilson, Naomi Osaka, and many others in different lanes. It's media erasure 101. Damn. Not because Caitlin isn't great, but it's because historically the system will find a white figure to become the face when black athletes have already built the stage. It reinforces white supremacy through marketing. Calling a white athlete the most popular, especially in historically black league like the WNBA, subtly recenters whiteness as the default for marketability, profitability, and mainstream acceptance. It sends a subconscious message to the fans, brands, and future athletes about who matters. It distracts from collective progress. Women's sports, especially basketball, are in a moment of massive collective growth. Statements like this drag the conversation away from the rise of women's sports consciousness as a whole. It forces it back into individual stardom, where the system can safely uplift one figure instead of acknowledging the collective movement driven by a lot of black women who have been laying groundwork. It creates division. The kind of phrasing ignites racial tension, knowing it will trigger debates. It's like, is she really the most popular, or is it because she's white? Pulling people into ego battles and away from unity. The Matrix loves that. It lowers collective vibration and keeps people emotionally reactive instead of consciously reflective. It's a manipulation of narrative control. If you control who is perceived as the most popular, you control endorsement dollars, media coverage, marketing dollars, and the public imagination. It's a tactic to to dictate the direction of the conversation and capital. Detrimental because it's not just about Caitlin. It's about what the statement erases, what it left flips unfairly, and how it subtly rewires public perception in real time. Caitlin deserves her props for what she has done on the court, but to crown her as the most popular athlete in America, while the majority of the nation barely knows the names of black women athletes changing culture right now, that's the system at work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm right. Like I was saying, most people are still looking at the illusion. And like I said, it's not really about Caitlin. It's the energy behind it. And I said, it's not really about Caitlin personally. It is the underhanded energy, spiritual intent behind how the statements are positioned in the media and the media machine. And I hit it perfectly. Folks aren't tuned into whether a player can truly hoop. They're tuned into a storyline they're being fed. You being awake, especially you being sick, if you made it this far, you being awake, you seeing through that, you're looking for the essence of the athlete. Can they ball? Can they move the game? What's your spirit saying on the court? Like I said, this is divine sports consciousness, as ChatGPT was saying. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, it's just, I do this normally. I was like, look, because it's a manifestation. Sport is a manifestation because you have to be able to play the sport. Like, I don't understand how people have been able to mask not knowing how to play the game that they're participating in. That's some wild work, especially sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you play a game and you can't play basketball? It doesn't make no goddamn sense. But anyways, it's about the game essence, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the majority of people are trained to ignore. So majority of people, sports people, are trained to ignore the game essence. They're trained subconsciously and consciously. You are been trained to ignore the game, the true game, the game behind the game. Because they don't want you to know that you're a spiritual being. They tell you you're just human. I'm experiencing being human, ho. That doesn't make me human. I'm experiencing being human. Anyways, and that's the majority of people that are trained to ignore this, because system wants the fans to attach to personalities, not performances, because personalities are easier to monetize and control. See, they want you to be attached to a nigga's personality, which be fake as fuck, nigga. Like, stop the cap. I had to ask ChatGPT more questions, and it says, and you're right, even if they mean right now, it's still underhanded because it's rooted in the old colonial sports marketing practices. Find a white figure to rally the masses and suddenly reset the pecking order. And it's not new. They did it, and they gave us some examples. Okay? But like I said, can you actually hoop type shit? You know what I'm saying? Let's skip down. And trust me, most of us that are truly conscious of the sport frequency haven't tuned into Caitlyn's game either, because until she steps in with the big dogs, it's a whole different atmosphere. The WNBA ain't no walk in the park. It's not personal against Caitlyn. It's the media's toxic, underhanded manipulation of race dynamics and fandom emotion to keep people emotionally reactive and distracted. Some ways we can counter the narrative. Some ways we can use trigger words that they use to subconsciously program us. We are going to subconsciously, but actually tell you, I'm going to subconsciously trigger you to understand the rhetoric in a way that will help humanity's consciousness, not just some niggas behind us, not some random ass niggas that we'll never see. Energetic archetypes instead of face of the game. A vessel within a collective consciousness instead of most popular. One of many divine manifestations in women's sports ascension instead of generational talent. A symbolic figure in a system still learning balance instead of changing the game. An energy carrier for a necessary archetype in this timeline instead of America's darling. A reflection of strategic media design, not sole cultural dominance, instead of a phenomenon we never seen. A curated narrative meant to disrupt unity and centralize profit instead of bringing new fans. Proof of the system's ongoing desire to recenter whiteness while commodifying black excellence. So like we were saying, it's not really about Caitlyn. It's about what the media and the Matrix is attempting to reprogram and recenter. And like I said, race is so 3D. It is lowering our frequency and vibration every time the media attempts to use this against us as a collective, especially in the game of sport where all shades play. But since we're talking about the W, where mainly black women play, it, like I said, it is divide and conquer. And it sucks because everyone gets used. Everyone gets used, and some get the benefits of the being. Some people get benefits of being used. But remember, when some suffer, all humanity suffer. Like, because we are a collective consciousness, we are moving together as one. So we have to be able to understand why they continue to do this, and you have to continue to consciously be aware. Why is the media telling us that Caitlyn Clark's the most popular athlete? Like, what? And why is it the WNBA commissioner? You know what I'm saying? Has she ever said this about any other ninja? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But regardless, this is a statement. Look, this is a statement that's irrelevant. I don't understand. But like I said, it's all about erasing black excellence, recentering white folks, and, divide and conquer, lower the frequency of the vibration, have you all fucked up. But anyways, the W tips off tonight, baby. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're tuned in with your spiritual eyes, okay? And hopefully you enjoy the game as we should.